Welcome to another episode of Thailand Truth Talks. If you're watching this video because you're planning to retire or move to Thailand, I need you to stop everything you're doing right now. What I'm about to tell you could save you from losing your entire life savings, and quite possibly your life. In the past 6 months, I've documented a systematic 2.3 billion scam network that has quietly destroyed the retirement dreams of over 50,000 Western expats. The Thai government just announced that 89% of foreign property investments in tourist areas are now considered high risk for fraud. Statistics they've been hiding from the international media. These aren't street-level con artists. These are sophisticated criminal enterprises using cutting-edge psychological manipulation techniques that are fooling even the most careful expats. British retirees who spent 2 years researching, hired lawyers, visited properties multiple times, and still lost everything. The most terrifying part? The Thai authorities admit they're overwhelmed. In a leaked internal document, one senior immigration official stated, "The sophistication of these networks now exceeds our investigative capabilities. This isn't just about money anymore. Western expats are being systematically trafficked into forced labor operations when their money runs out. Let me show you exactly how these networks operate." John Jameson did everything right. After his divorce in 2023, this Manchester accountant spent 18 months researching Thailand property investments. He hired UK consultants, joined Facebook groups, even visited properties in person. The company, Tropical Property Investments, looked perfect. Registered Thai business, Bangkok Financial District Office, professional website. But what John didn't know was that he was walking into a $45 million fraud network that had already destroyed 400 Western expats. Here's the truly terrifying part. They didn't just show John fake testimonials. They had other satisfied customers call him personally. British expats who knew about his divorce, his accounting background, even his favorite football team. "It felt like talking to myself 2 years in the future," John told me. Everything this guy, Robert from Newcastle, said resonated with my exact situation. But Robert wasn't a satisfied customer. He was either a paid actor or a previous victim being blackmailed into recruiting new targets. The network gives victims a choice. Help us destroy other people's lives, or face legal action that will destroy your visa status. The operation was so sophisticated they sent John monthly rental income statements for 6 months, making him believe his investment was generating returns. They showed him real properties, used legitimate lawyers, provided authentic-looking land titles created by corrupted officials. Traditional due diligence doesn't work when the entire system is compromised at multiple levels. John lost £180,000 in October of 2024 when the network vanished overnight. But he was lucky. He only lost money. Other victims were offered recovery opportunities that led them into human trafficking operations. On June 18th of 2025, Thai police raided a luxury mansion in Bangkok's exclusive Thonglor district. What they found inside will blow your mind. A professional boiler room operation that had stolen 1.2 million from over 14,000 Australians in just 8 weeks. I obtained exclusive access to the police raid footage. This wasn't some back alley operation. The mansion's ground floor was a corporate headquarters with 40 individual workstations, multiple phone lines, high-end computers, and professional call recording equipment. The 13 foreign nationals arrested weren't desperate criminals. These were educated professionals, former investment bankers, marketing executives from the UK, Australia, and South Africa, who had been recruited specifically for their expertise. Here's how sick this gets. They were targeting struggling Western expats already living in Thailand, offering them customer service jobs with international financial companies. New employees received 2 weeks of intensive training covering psychological manipulation techniques and comprehensive databases of potential victims. The victim databases were incredibly sophisticated. Detailed profiles of thousands of Australians approaching retirement, including their financial situations, family status, and psychological profiles based on social media analysis. The fake Australian government bonds they were selling promised 8 to 12% annual returns. They had created websites that perfectly mimicked legitimate Australian financial institutions, complete with fake regulatory credentials. But here's the most disturbing part. When victims became suspicious and wanted their money back, the network used nuclear options. They threatened to report victims to Australian tax authorities for unreported overseas investments, potentially resulting in criminal charges. Think about that psychological torture. You realize you've been scammed, but now the criminals threaten to destroy your life with tax authorities if you try to recover your money. This single operation generated $150,000 per week. The criminals were living luxury lifestyles while the victims' retirement dreams turned into nightmares. And this was just one of at least 20 similar operations currently running across Bangkok and Pattaya. In April of 2025, a Phuket visa agent vanished overnight with over 300 passports and 640,000 in client funds. But this wasn't just another agent running off with money. This was the collapse of Bangkok Elite Visa Services, one of Thailand's most reputable visa companies. They had operated for 8 years from Bangkok's Central World Tower with hundreds of positive reviews. Their clients included multinational executives and wealthy retirees, people with resources to verify legitimacy. The company specialized in Thailand Elite Visa applications, a legitimate government program offering long-term residency for significant investments, typically $15,000 to $60,000 per person. Here's the sick twist. They were collecting full payments and passports, conducting professional meetings with fake government representatives in luxury hotels, but never actually submitting applications to the Thai government. For months, clients received regular updates and professional documentation. The fake government meetings were incredibly sophisticated. Criminal associates dressed professionally, carrying official-looking ID badges, conducting meetings in legitimate business centers. Clients felt they were dealing with the highest levels of Thai bureaucracy, receiving VIP treatment that justified the premium fees. When the scam unraveled, over 300 Western expats were left without passports and became overstayers overnight, facing criminal charges and deportation. But here's what makes this truly terrifying. This company was part of a network of fake service providers designed to identify wealthy expats for targeting by other criminal operations. The personal information collected during visa applications, bank statements, proof of income, property documents, was being sold to investment fraud networks and human trafficking organizations. I discovered evidence of at least 40 fake service companies operating across Thailand. They had professional websites, legitimate business registrations, and had been operating for years while building extensive client databases. The criminals were paying corrupted government employees to provide authentic documentation for fake companies, business certificates, tax numbers, even professional licenses were being generated through compromised government systems. This means traditional verification methods are completely useless when the documentation system itself has been compromised. This is where the investigation gets truly horrifying. In March of 2025, Cambodian authorities rescued 215 foreign nationals from human trafficking compounds near the Thailand border. Among the victims were 47 Western expats who had originally come to Southeast Asia as tourists or retirees. The connection isn't coincidental. It's systematic. When investment scam victims start demanding refunds or threatening to report crimes, the criminals offer them a solution: high-paying jobs in Cambodia or Myanmar that promise $3,000 to $5,000 monthly for customer service work. These job offers are incredibly convincing. Professional employment contracts, work visa documentation, even arranged transportation. But these aren't jobs. They're human trafficking operations. Victims are taken to remote compounds with high walls, razor wire, armed guards, and surveillance systems. Their passports are confiscated, communication devices seized, and they're forced to work 12 to 16 hours daily making scam calls. Here's the most psychologically devastating part. Victims are forced to use their personal knowledge to target people from their own countries. British victims target other British citizens. Australians target other Australians, using their accents and cultural understanding to make scam calls more effective. Imagine that psychological torture. You're a fraud victim, and now you're being forced to destroy other people's lives with the same scams that destroyed yours. Every successful call prolongs your captivity, while creating new victims who may end up in the same compound. The rescued victims provided devastating details. Each compound holds 200 to 400 foreign nationals, with new victims arriving weekly. A single compound generates $500,000 to $1 million monthly, using victims as slave labor. The trafficking operations serve dual purposes. They remove problematic scam victims from Thailand while generating massive profits from forced labor. Several rescued victims had been captive for over 2 years, forced to make thousands of fraudulent calls that generated millions in criminal revenue. While criminal networks are stealing billions from Western expats through sophisticated scam operations, Thai banks have responded by implementing security measures that are freezing legitimate expats out of the financial system entirely. Since January of 2025, Bangkok Bank, Kasikorn Bank, and Siam Commercial Bank have frozen over 15,000 foreign-owned bank accounts, without warning or explanation. Expats are discovering their accounts are inaccessible when they try to withdraw money, transfer funds, or even pay basic bills. The scale of this crisis is unprecedented. Long-term expats who have banked with the same institutions for decades are suddenly being treated as suspicious criminals, with their accounts frozen pending security investigations that can take months to resolve. I spoke with Robert Thompson, a 67-year-old British expat who has lived in Thailand for 15 years and maintained accounts with Bangkok banks throughout that period. In February of 2025, his account containing over $80,000 was frozen without notification. When Robert contacted the bank, he was told his account showed suspicious activity patterns and that he needed to provide extensive documentation to prove the legitimacy of his funds. The required documentation included bank statements from his UK accounts going back 5 years, proof of the source of every deposit over $1,000, and sworn affidavits from his UK bank confirming the legitimacy of international transfers. The psychological impact on expats is devastating. People who have lived in Thailand for years, built businesses, bought property, and established their entire lives around their Thai bank accounts are suddenly cut off from their own money without warning or recourse. But the most disturbing aspect is that the bank's security criteria appears to be arbitrary and discriminatory. Multiple expats reported that their accounts were frozen immediately after receiving large international transfers, exactly the type of transactions that retirees and expats regularly make to fund their living expenses. The timing suggests that Thai banks are using automated systems to flag foreign accounts based on transaction patterns that are completely normal for expat populations. Large international transfers, regular ATM withdrawals, and payments to property management companies are all legitimate activities that are triggering account freezes. Russian expats are being disproportionately targeted, with entire families losing access to their accounts regardless of their individual circumstances or compliance with international sanctions. The banks appear to be implementing blanket policies that treat all Russian nationals as potential sanctions violations, even when they have no connection to sanctioned individuals or entities. The account freezing crisis is creating a cascading financial emergency for affected expats. People are unable to pay rent, utilities, or basic living expenses. Some are being forced to leave Thailand because they can't access their own money to maintain their visa requirements or support themselves. But the bank's security measures are completely ineffective at stopping actual criminal operations. The sophisticated scam networks I've documented use professional money laundering services that can move funds through multiple international accounts within hours of receiving victim payments. By the time Thai banks implement their security investigations, criminal funds have already been transferred through Singapore, Hong Kong, and cryptocurrency exchanges, making them completely unrecoverable. Meanwhile, legitimate expats are bearing the cost of security measures that don't actually address the underlying criminal activities. The banks are essentially punishing law-abiding customers for crimes committed by sophisticated criminal networks that their security systems can't detect or prevent. The account freezing crisis is also being exploited by the same criminal networks that are running investment and property scams. Scammers are now offering account unfreezing services to desperate expats, claiming they have connections with bank officials who can resolve frozen accounts for fees ranging from $5,000 to $20,000. These services are, of course, completely fraudulent. But desperate expats who have been cut off from their money for months are willing to pay almost everything for promises of account restoration. The Thai government's response has been completely inadequate. When I contacted the Bank of Thailand about the account freezing crisis, I was told that individual banks have the authority to implement their own security measures and that customers should work directly with their banks to resolve any issues. But expats report that bank customer service representatives have no authority to unfreeze accounts and that the approval process for security investigations involves senior management who are completely inaccessible to individual customers. Several expats told me they had been waiting over 6 months for security investigations to be completed, with no timeline for resolution and no access to their funds during the investigation period. The most disturbing cases involve expats who are facing medical emergencies or family crisis but cannot access their own money to address urgent situations. Thai banks are essentially holding their customers' funds hostage while implementing security procedures that have no clear resolution timeline. The account freezing crisis is forcing many long-term expats to consider leaving Thailand permanently. People who have invested years of their lives building relationships, businesses, and communities are being driven out by financial institutions that treat them as presumptive criminals. But for expats who want to stay in Thailand or who are already committed to investments and relationships they can't abandon, there are specific strategies for protecting yourself from both criminal scam networks and discriminatory banking policies. After documenting over 2.3 billion in systematic fraud targeting Western expats, I've developed what I call the 89% rule, a comprehensive protection system based on the Thai government's own admission that 89% of foreign property investments in tourist areas are high risk for fraud. The rule is simple. Assume that 89% of any service, investment, or business opportunity targeting expats in Thailand is either fraudulent or compromised by criminal networks. This isn't paranoia. It's mathematical probability based on official government statistics. Here's your complete protection blueprint for 2025. Banking protection strategy. Never maintain all your funds in a single Thai bank account. Distribute your money across multiple banks and keep significant reserves in international accounts that Thai authorities cannot freeze. The account freezing crisis has proven that even legitimate long-term expats can lose access to their money without warning. Maintain detailed documentation of all international transfers, including proof of source funds, bank correspondence, and transfer confirmations. Thai banks are now requiring extensive documentation to unfreeze accounts, and preparation is your only defense. Consider opening accounts with international banks that have Thai branches, such as HSBC or Citibank. These institutions may offer better protection against arbitrary account freezes and have more sophisticated customer service systems for resolving disputes. Investment Protection Protocol. Apply the 89% rule to every investment opportunity. If 89% of foreign property investments are fraudulent, then any property investment pitched to you has a 9 in 10 chance of being a scam, regardless of how legitimate it appears. Never invest money you cannot afford to lose entirely. The sophisticated nature of modern scam operations means that traditional due diligence cannot reliably identify fraudulent opportunities. Demand to see properties and businesses with your own eyes, accompanied by independent legal representation that you hire directly. Never rely on lawyers, accountants, or consultants recommended by the people selling you investments. Service Provider Verification System. Assume all expat service providers are compromised until proven otherwise. The infiltration of criminal networks into legitimate service sectors means that professional appearance, business registration, and positive reviews cannot guarantee legitimacy. Never provide original passport documents to any service provider. The visa agent crisis has shown that even apparently reputable companies may disappear with your travel documents, leaving you unable to leave Thailand legally. Verify all government requirements independently through official government websites and embassy contacts. Criminal networks create fake government websites and impersonate officials to validate fraudulent services. Communication security measures. Be extremely cautious about sharing personal and financial information with anyone in Thailand, including people who claim to be other expats. The sophisticated social engineering techniques used by criminal networks mean that casual conversations can be intelligence gathering operations. Never discuss your financial situation, investment plans, or personal circumstances or on social media or in expat forums. Criminal networks actively monitor these platforms to identify potential victims and gather information for targeting campaigns. Use encrypted messaging apps for sensitive communications and avoid discussing financial matters over standard phone calls or emails, which can be easily intercepted by sophisticated criminal operations. Emergency protocols. Maintain emergency funds in your home country that can access if you need to leave Thailand quickly. The human trafficking pipeline targets expats who become financially desperate, making emergency financial resources your most important protection. Keep copies of all important documents in secure cloud storage that you can access from anywhere. If you become a victim of document theft or other criminal activities, you'll need immediate access to identification and financial records. Establish regular communication schedules with family or friends in your home country. If you disappear or become unreachable, someone needs to be prepared to contact authorities and begin search procedures immediately. Legal protection framework. Never sign any legal documents without independent legal review by lawyers you hire directly. The sophisticated document forgery techniques used by criminal networks mean that professional-looking contracts may be completely fraudulent. Understand that Thai legal protections for foreigners are extremely limited, especially when dealing with criminal networks that have corrupted government officials. Your best protection is avoiding problematic situations entirely. Maintain contact information for your country's embassy or consulate and understand their limitations in providing assistance. Embassies cannot recover stolen money or force Thai authorities to investigate crimes, but they can provide assistance with document replacement and repatriation if necessary. The reality check. The most important protection I can offer you is this reality check. Thailand's expat community is under systematic attack by sophisticated criminal networks that are more professional and better resourced than the authorities trying to stop them. The Thai government has essentially admitted they cannot protect foreign expats from these criminal operations. The 89% fraud rate in expat-targeted investments isn't an accident. It's the result of systematic criminal infiltration of industries that serve Western expats. Your safety depends entirely on your own vigilance and preparation. The traditional advice about conducting due diligence and using common sense is completely inadequate when dealing with criminal networks that employ professional psychologists, use corrupted government systems, and have unlimited resources for creating convincing facades. If you're already in Thailand and suspect you may be a victim of fraud, document everything immediately and contact your embassy. Don't wait for situations to resolve themselves. Criminal networks use delay tactics to prevent victims from seeking help while they extract maximum value from fraudulent schemes. If you're considering moving to Thailand, understand that you're entering a high-risk environment where sophisticated criminal operations specifically target Western expats. The paradise retirement dream that's marketed to foreigners is increasingly becoming a nightmare for thousands of victims. The choice is yours, but make it with full knowledge of the risks you're facing. The 89% fraud rate isn't a statistic you can ignore. It's a mathematical reality that should inform every decision you make about your future in Thailand. The $2.3 billion in documented losses I've uncovered in this investigation represents just the tip of the iceberg. The Thai government's admission that 89% of foreign property investments are high risk for fraud reveals a systematic crisis that affects every aspect of expat life in Thailand. The sophisticated criminal networks operating in Thailand aren't going away. They're becoming more professional, more psychologically manipulative, and more dangerous with each passing year. The connection between investment fraud and human trafficking operations represents a new level of threat that goes far beyond financial losses. Traditional expat advice about conducting research and using common sense is completely inadequate when dealing with criminal operations that employ professional psychologists, corrupt government officials, and maintain sophisticated databases of potential victims. Your only protection is understanding that Thailand's expat community is under systematic attack by criminal enterprises that are better funded and more organized than the authorities trying to stop them. The 89% rule isn't just a statistic, it's your survival guide. If you think this is just another scam awareness video, you're missing the point. This isn't about paranoia. It's about survival in a country where the line between paradise and prison cell is razor thin. In 2025, the rules have changed. If you're not actively protecting yourself every single day, you're already someone's next payday. The people running these networks don't just want your money, they want your future. They've mastered the art of turning your dreams into their business model. One wrong signature, one misplaced trust, and you won't just lose your savings. You'll lose control of your own life. And by the time you realize it, the exit doors will be locked from the outside. So remember the 89% rule. Assume everything targeting you is a trap until proven otherwise. Question everyone. Verify nothing through the channels they give you. Because in this game, there are no second chances. And the only ones who make it out are the ones who knew the rules before they stepped into the field.